Hello. Welcome everyone. I'm gonna give a minute or so to just let everyone join in. I know everyone was waiting in the waiting rooms. Welcome.
Hi, Danielle. How's it going, everyone?
Awesome. Cool. We can get started with our kickoff because I know it's just a couple minutes after noon now. Welcome. We are so excited to have y'all here. My name is Danielle. I'm one of the co-founders and organizers of Austin Design Week. I think you also heard Francisco. Francisco, do you want to say hi? Oh, you're on mute.
There you go. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. How's it going? My name is Francisco Rosales, and I'm also on the advisory board for Austin Design Week this year.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. We'll hear more from Francisco later. He, as he shared, is on our Austin Design Week advisory board and also proposed an event last year. And so we wanted to have him here to share his experience. Francisco, do you mind muting when you're not talking to, just for the sound?
Cool.
Cool. Can y'all hear me okay? I know Gwen had mentioned no sound. Can you type in the chat if y'all can hear me? Wow. Perfect. Awesome. Great. Well, let me go over the agenda for today. Basically, Francisco, do you mind muting? Awesome. Thank you. So as you all saw, we have announced the 2019 theme and our call for proposals are open. And so the goal of this information session is just to be able to give you some background. I'll share a little bit about Austin Design Week for those of you who haven't participated in before, a little bit about our call for proposals process. As I mentioned, Francisco will jump in and share a little bit about his experience as a host and also what he's looking for as a board member. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So we'll have lots of time to hear from y'all and answer your questions. Well, so to get started, I'm curious, I'd love if y'all can type in the chat. I want to make this a little interactive, even though there's a bunch of us on the call. How many of you have participated in Austin Design Week before? So hosted an event or attended an event, if you want to share in the chat to everyone. Awesome. We have attendees, volunteers, brand new. Amazing. I love it. Great. Awesome. So a lot of people who've attended in the past, a couple people who have volunteered also, and a couple people who are brand new. So for those of you who this is your first experience with Austin Design Week, I just want to tell you a little bit more about it. So Austin Design Week started, actually, it's our fourth year. And we initially started Austin Design Week as a way to bring together designers from across disciplines in Austin. So we wanted architects to be talking to graphic designers and service designers and product designers, interior designers, to really be able to come together and share what they've, what they work on and what they do. And then we really wanted to invite the rest of the community in. So people in Austin who maybe aren't, design, don't consider themselves designers, and invite them to participate. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. And so that was the initial founding of Austin Design Week. From the beginning, it was really important for us to make it a really collaborative event. And so we have from the beginning, have had an advisory board. So this is made up of different people from the design community that can represent different disciplines, different communities, different identities that can help us really shape what each year of Austin Design Week looks like. And so every year we've had between 5 and 10 board members. As I shared, Francisco is one of them this year. And so they help us come up with the theme, really the direction for Austin Design Week. And then we'll also be choosing our proposals. Our first year of ADW, we had about 40 events, all free to the community. That's a really big and important part of our programming at Austin Design Week. It's important for us to keep it free to anyone who wants to attend. This past year we had 100 different events, and so have definitely grown a lot, and have kind of broadened what our event types look like. So something that's important for the proposal process that I really hope that you all will do is when you go to the host an event page on our website, it has an FAQ, and it talks about kind of everything you need to know about hosting. And one of the big things is, the different types of events. So we have studio tours, if you want to open up the doors to a studio that you're in. We have workshops that are hands-on and interactive. We have panels and talks, which is something that was new that we added last year. We used to only have a couple of panels as part of our evening featured events, but have found that it's just such a great way to have more conversations throughout the week, and so that's a category as well. We also have featured events, which are events that might be a little bit larger in scale. They might be collaborative and really like meeting across disciplines. And then we have kind of an other, like, surprise us, show us what you want to do. And so this can be, something that's outside of the norm of what we have. It can be an installation. It can be, some type of format that we haven't imagined and that you want to propose. And so that's kind of the different types of events and things that we do. And that you can propose. I wanted to share a couple of other things. Okay, so why be part of Austin Design Week? So as I shared, our mission and what our goals are there, I think there's a lot of benefits to being involved also. I think it's a great way to kind of have your perspective on design in Austin and have the chance to curate programming that you're inviting people in and helping shape the conversation. The theme this year is Make Space, which we've intentionally left pretty broad. I think make space can mean a lot of things, not just the literal like making of space as one would in more of the architectural side or landscape architecture side of things, but really this idea of how can we make space for new ideas and for new voices. We talked a lot in our board meeting about how Austin is growing so rapidly, but a lot of people are getting pushed out, and how do we make space for everyone? And so we really encourage you to, take the theme and interpret it as it makes sense to you, and share that as part of your proposal. I wanted to talk too a little bit about the kind of timeline and specific things that we look for. So the call for proposals is open through June 24th. We are pretty strict about that deadline because we have a tight turnaround of when we need to. Our board will review all the proposals, we'll curate the schedule, and we'll contact the hosts if they've been selected to participate in part of the event. And we have a lot that goes into, we have programming leads that are on our volunteer team that work with each of our hosts to really help them make the event the best it possibly can be. So they share, feedback on things that you have shared on your description, or if you have some things incomplete, check in with you on that. They also share best practices for organizing a workshop or a studio tour. We've done this for several years now, and want to make sure that you have those best practices that we do. And then the schedule will go live beginning of October. So that's kind of some of the timeline and schedule there. Something else that I want to mention is this year, for those of you who've maybe hosted in the past, might have noticed that one of the big changes that we have this year is that we do have a hosting fee associated with our events. As I mentioned, all of our events are free for everyone to attend in the community, and in the past they had been free for you as a host as well. And we made this change for a couple of different reasons. Austin Design Week in the past has only been for all the other things that it takes to make it happen. So printing and signage and, having, when we have larger events and having AV and having our video and photographer, all of those things, cost money to make happen. And so we've relied on sponsorship, but, have also found that it's important to have other ways to support that. The reason that this is coming from hosts is, as a host, there's a lot that you're getting out of this. You are getting the support of Austin Design Week from a promotional perspective, from a logistics and support, for volunteer staffing, from registration. And we also, hope that this will, you know, help you make the serious commitment as well. I know you might think like, oh, as a host, of course I'm serious about this, but we've had hosts in the past who have been non-responsive or who have dropped out at the last minute. And so for us, you know, this fee kind of helps with that commitment. It is extremely important for us that we are not, you know, this is not being prohibitive for any ideas or, you know, stopping anyone from participating. And so we will have a pretty generous scholarship program. So if you know, look at the proposal fees and think, you know, this is, I'm not gonna be able to afford this, this is gonna create a financial burden on me, then I very much encourage you to, you know, check that box to apply for a scholarship. We don't want that to stop any of these ideas coming through. And so that's something else that I wanted to highlight. Okay, this is just a lot of me talking and it's not as exciting. So I'm going to ask Francisco to unmute and to talk a little bit about his experience both as a host and as what he'll be looking for this year as a board member.
Sweet. Okay. So yeah, thanks, Danielle. As a host last year, can everybody hear me? I think we're good, right? Audio, perfect. So as a host last year, I was really excited to participate and to really be able to participate. I'm part of an organization called Latinos in Architecture, and we had this idea of putting together a panel discussion for last year's Austin Design Week. So me and a few other members of the group basically brainstormed and put together this idea, not knowing that you know, it would happen, but we were you know, super excited that we were selected for Austin Design Week last year. And it was a great experience because not only were we able to kind of give our input of what our organization believes in, but also have a conversation with the community and also have those discussions after this panel discussion that happened. So we were able to reach out to 3 panels or 3 speakers for the panel. And it was great. You know, it was at Native Hostel. It was like roughly 11 in the morning. So it was like morning time. And it was a cool conversation to have. It was on a Tuesday. And what's great about Austin Design Week is like, it's like all day type of thing. So you can start off in the day, going to a few panels, maybe in the daytime. And then in the nighttime, you kind of go to several events. So for us, it was daytime, roughly panel discussion. And that was a great experience. And being on the board this year, I think having that experience and seeing what it takes as far as planning, preparation on the host side, it takes a lot of organization and time. And I think it's a great experience to participate. For this year in particular, with the theme being Make Space, I would say, you know, think about the growing aspect of Austin, not only for what the future holds, but what the history of Austin within itself has and how we can take and learn from our history. So those are, I think, in a broader sense, the themes that we could continue and start learning from for this year's theme. Yeah, that's kind of a jumbo of all that.
Cool, thank you. And we're going to open it up to questions in just a bit. Francisco and I can both answer those. I also wanted to mention, and I shared this a couple of times when I was talking previously, but we really love to see collaborative events. So when, you know, people come together that, you know, maybe wouldn't work together otherwise, or, you know, are not normally in conversation together in a public event, to, you know, have a panel discussion or a workshop together. We very much encourage that. We love collaboration. We love, you know, being able to see multiple sides represented. Something that we had started last year, we created an Austin Design Week community Slack channel. If you are not in a part of that already, I'll send out the link for it in the follow-up after this event. But one of the reasons that we had started that, you know, people had asked that they wanted to meet up during Austin Design Week and continue conversations, but we had also started it after feedback from the proposal process last year of people wanting to reach out to the community and find people to collaborate with. And so if you're, you know, looking for collaborators or have an idea for something and, you know, are want to see who else might be interested in that idea and pairing onto it, I encourage you to add it into the Slack channel and reach out there. Cool. So that was a quick overview on our part. I didn't want to just, regurgitate too much of what's on the website, although I'm happy to answer any of the questions on there. But I really want to open it up and hear from you all about, what questions you had, what you're hoping to get out of this session. You can type it in the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask there, and we'll answer.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
This is Abby with Oracle. I was wondering if you had any numbers on the types of designers that attended last year. Were they experienced designers or visual designers or landscape designers? That would really help us to tailor our presentations.
Yeah, that's a great question, Abby. So we do a follow-up survey, and we'll ask what roles people are in. I don't have the exact percentages of but I will say it is a pretty big mix across the board. And I think part of that is because our programming in the past has been so diverse that it tends to draw in people from a lot of different backgrounds. So we've had definitely a bunch of product and UX designers. We've seen a lot of architects. We've seen a lot of people that are new to design. We've also seen a lot of design managers and VPs and directors. And so it's a pretty big mix. As I said, I don't have the specifics, but I do think that choosing, what is the thing maybe that you're most excited about, or if there's a certain group of designers that you're looking to bring in and have participate in the conversation, to tailor it towards that, because I do think that there's just such a mix of people that will be coming in that it's hard to say, that this is the group that you should be designing for. I hope that helps.
Hey, Daniel, this is Kyle. I've got a couple of things. Thank you very much, Francisco, also for the explanation kind of how you worked your session last year. I've got a couple of ideas around what I'd like to do this year. I'm an industrial designer, and everything's been very physical so far. Last year we had a little bit at Argo and a couple other things, so I'd like to just kind of throw that out there as a generic comment, and just trying to promote more of that type of profession. And then I run a studio out of my house, so probably not the best to have a large group here. I mean, that would be fun and all, and I'd be more than into that. But how does it work when we want to sort of host an event, but have it in a local, a centralized location?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the proposal form, it asks whether or not you have a venue. So you can and it asks if you need help finding a venue. So you don't have to have a venue 100% confirmed when you do the proposal. We've had a lot of people in the past who have reached out. Maybe they had an idea of a venue on their own that they had reached out to, and kind of partnered on that prior to filling out their proposal. So be it like a co-working space or another design firm or company that you might want to use. And, that's something that you're welcome to kind of figure out on your own. But if you don't have a space in mind, that's something that you can put in the proposal, and we do our best to help you on that. For workshops, we actually have space. So I don't know if it'll be the same space this year, but last year the last 2 years, I think we partnered with Capital Factory. And so for all of our workshops and a lot of different panel discussions, we had that available for everyone, and the majority were in there. We had a couple of people who wanted to host a workshop and wanted to do it at their studio, but Capital Factory is a central downtown location, and people just knew that that's where our workshops would be. So there's some kind of like set available spaces depending on the type of event. You're welcome to reach out and find your own, or if you'd like help, you can let us know. And also, I think a good note on that too, we left this out of the proposal form because we actually got a disproportional amount in past years. But if you're a company or have like a studio or a space that you're also interested in hosting other events outside of your own, you can write that at the bottom. There's a space that says, do you have any questions for us? In the past, we've had more people reaching out to want to host events that they weren't planning than we had people needing space. So we don't have that as like a specific space in the forum, but we can definitely help you out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Cool. Will the event that Nick Hahn was running, will that run this year as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in addition to our proposed events that we have coming through, Austin Design Week does curate a couple of things on our own. So we curate our opening and closing parties. In past years, this was slightly different. We actually had them come through proposals, and so I guess this is a little bit confusing, but in past years, we only had one event a night. So there would be one kind of big event a night designed to bring everyone together that came through proposals, but we were very hands-on on how we helped curate those. And the goal was to have really everyone in this one space every night. We found out that was pretty limiting for some of events that maybe were smaller or more workshops that could only happen in the evening, or people who couldn't take off during the day and would only be able to attend things in the evening and wanted more variety. And so this year we're only curating our opening and closing, and then we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday open for all different types of events. So that's one thing that Austin Design Week curates. We also normally have a hub, which is a central space that people can pop in during the week and work in between sessions. We normally have a couple of installations in there. We'll put some of our programming in there. And we last year started doing mentor office hours. And so we had designers in a couple different roles, and you could sign up to have a session with them. So that was something, again, that Austin Design Week curated and will again. And then to Gwen's question, sorry, it's taking me so long to get there. We, I believe 2 years ago, started a design-a-thon that has been led by Nick Hahn, and we will be doing it again. He's continuing to do that, and that's a great event where you can sign up to participate on a team to then work on a project through the design-a-thon. That's some type of design project that's helping solve an issue in our city, and then we have a final kind of when you're sharing your ideas, and we have prizes, and so it'll be a lot of fun. But yes, that'll be something that will be curated from Austin Design Week. Other questions? I know there's a lot of people that came to this, and I had a very short intro, so I want to hear what y'all wanted to hear in coming to this.
You guys still have the schedule from last year somewhere that could be reviewed as well?
We do. We took it off the site because we found in the past that it gets pretty confusing for people, even if we say like the 2018 schedule. So one of the things that we did in the what's it called? In the FAQs, when we list different event types, we chose like 2 or 3 events from last year that we thought were good examples of that to link to. And so I don't know, the whole schedule itself is not out there and live right now. I'm trying to think of if there's ways that we can give you access to that or parts of it to help with what you might be looking for. We just are hesitant to have it up on the site because we already heard some confusion from a couple of people when we had it before we launched the call for proposals. So let me, Abby, if you want to follow up with me afterwards, we can figure out what might be the best way. I'm happy to just talk through like what are some of the sessions that we had and things like that. But I think that I definitely don't think it's a bad thing to repeat certain topics or sessions. There's a lot of people who didn't attend Austin Design Week last year or attended, and there are many sessions going on. There's a lot of the times anywhere from 2 to 4 sessions happening at once, and so people would want to attend something and wouldn't be able to. And so I think repeating topics is definitely not a bad thing. And then, as I mentioned, the kind of recommend we have a couple showcased just so you can see what they look like on our FAQ.
Okay, yeah, I had some colleagues asking. I will just direct them to the examples. I think that should be good enough.
Cool. Also, I think that there might be a way on Eventbrite. You can normally see past events, and all of our events sign up for the past couple of years has been on Eventbrite. So if you like go to Eventbrite and type in Austin Design Week, you may be able to see them that way as well. Cool. Other questions?
So I put a question in the chat earlier for Francisco. Was the panel the one that Michelle Van Hefty was on that you held at Native Hostel?
No, it wasn't that panel. No, this one was it was titled The Post, Creating Alternative Spaces for the Post-Truth Era. And it had to deal with not recreating, but also thinking of alternative ways to design detention centers, more in like the Southwest. So that was like an interesting discussion to have. We had like the Consulate of Mexico, Carlos, we had Sarah from the University of Texas. She was teaching architecture. And then we had Jessica from Casa Marinela, which is like, I think I might've got it wrong, but it's a nonprofit house for just immigrants coming into through Texas. But yeah, it was an interesting discussion. And I would also say, like, if you're interested in doing a panel discussion and putting together something like that, definitely choosing a diverse group of panelists is important, just to have different perspectives, different backgrounds, different viewpoints on the certain topic that could potentially lead to just really good conversations. But yeah, it was a great experience for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'll probably try to reach out to you to talk. I'm a recovering architect, so I'll probably
yeah, definitely
something that's sort of an intersection of architecture and UX. So
cool. Yeah, by all means, please, shoot me an email or get in contact after.
Slack too, so you can always find people in the community on Slack and send them a message.
Yeah, on Slack would be a great way.
Yeah, I'm on that Slack channel.
Sweet.
Is there a separate channel on the Austin Design Week that's set up just for this 2019 session already?
There's not. No, we just have the community one that will continue. So we'll just continue to post things on that. And then if you wanted to reach out to someone one-on-one, you can send them a message.
Sure. Thank you.
Cool. One of the other things that I wanted to mention, so in addition to panels, and I don't think we have this listed as a specific category, but it can fit under the other category. Something we did a lot of last year were roundtables. So this is a great way to have conversations, similar to ones of panels, but that are really interactive with everyone who attends, and normally a bit smaller and intimate. And so that's another kind of category that you can think of when you're thinking about wanting to have a discussion around a certain topic at ADW. And you would just list it under the other topic. And then another thing I wanted to mention, something that we did this year. So the way that the proposal form is laid out is that you're required to answer some questions before moving on to the next, which I know can be challenging when you're wondering, well, what's in the form and what information do you need from me? So under the FAQ, we have a list of everything that's included in the proposal form so that you can have all of that ready before you start filling out the proposals. So hopefully that's helpful. Other questions? There's no such thing as a bad question.
No, I just need to look on the form so I can get acquainted with it.
Yeah, I'll put it here in the chat. Y'all can look at all the things that's included here.
So would it be okay to then use the Slack to ask people if they'd be interested in participating in a proposal that you have?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to use it. I would do like a quick introduction to yourself and share like what it is that you're working on, and ask if anyone wants to collaborate or participate in there. One of the things that we also try to do, we've had in the past some proposals that were pretty similar to each other in topics. And so we've, reached out and asked if people wanted to, work together to collaborate on them.
Yeah,
So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, a lot of the times, so I guess there's like kind of three different things that can happen once you propose. We can say, yes, this is great, let's run with it. We might say, I'm sorry, this isn't the right fit, or we couldn't accommodate this for this year, because we do try to keep the number of events at a certain size just based on our capacity. But more common, I would say, than that is okay. Sorry, I was getting notifications from Zoom. More common than that is that, we might say we, saw two proposals that are pretty similar, and like, we'd love for you to collaborate with this, or, you propose this to be a panel, but we actually think that we have a lot of panels and we think that this could be great as a roundtable. And so we have asked people in the past to do a slightly different format or change things up a bit. And they've worked really well, so.
I just want to say, I think that would be helpful, because having worked with the AIA in the past, AIA convention, and reviewing session proposals, I remember one year, we'd had the same problem where we would get, say, 10 different proposals on the same topic, and for some reason, AIA wouldn't allow us as the reviewers to go back to all the authors and say, why don't you collaborate with these other 11 people and see if you can't put together one session, or maybe two sessions that, a session that could be repeated 2 times or 3 times over the course of the period, rather than having to compete against each other. Because in the end, what you risk is none of them actually getting accepted. And instead of having like that topic there and being a part of the discussion.
Yeah, so hopefully that this helps with that.
Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention that is new this year, actually, is that we have you put in your top 3 requested days and times. In the past, we've just assigned everything on our own. This year, we do want to try our best to work with your schedule. They're not guaranteed because we do need to space things out. But, it's, if you do have preferred times, you can put them in there. And then the one thing that there are certain time blocks for are studio tours. So take a look at that. We only schedule studio tours in the afternoon, but everything else can be anytime. Yes. So there's a question in the chat about the images on the proposal. So once we make the event live, for those of you who have seen our schedule in the past, we have our schedule has a bunch of photos, and then your title of your session and your description, and then you can click on that and it's a larger photo, title and description. We've been working on how to best describe what we need, and so any feedback on this is very welcome. And trying to get it from people early, because a lot of the times you can imagine with 100 different events, and trying to secure the right type of image from people to get our events live has caused quite headaches in the past. And so we want, all of them look really different, but we do want to have some type of, standards when you're looking at the page. There isn't some things that are completely drastic to one another. And so one of our requirements is that your image is a photo rather than, some type of graphic that is put together. And so the photos should be in JPEG. That's the size one. If you can't size it at that, you can send it to us and we'll resize it. But just keep in mind, if it's too small, we'll probably have to ask you for another one. But so this is the photo that will go along with once your event is posted. You'll be able to see it. And if you do need to end up changing it out later, that's okay. But starting with something is really helpful for us. As I just shared, it's a lot of chasing down that happens when you're working with 100 different hosts. And I might have mentioned this, but on our side, we are all volunteer run. So all of the organizers, all of the programming leads, everyone on our team is volunteer.
I'll say something about the image stuff, because last year I didn't have an image. Like, I didn't have one to kind of portray what the panel was going to be. So someone else in design. I think I remember. I think you might have helped out on this one, Danielle, about some websites that you can use for like stock images. And that could be a resource if you're looking for specific images for whatever your event may be.
And I have just a quick question on top of the image question. When it comes to no created graphics, like when it's just a photo, like can we not add or do any manipulation to the photo? Like how strict is the no created graphics component of that?
Yeah, you can definitely, we've had people who've done some manipulation in the past. We don't want the title of your session on your graphic, on your photo. So that is a big thing. I think this is even the problem, the challenge that we've had with saying that we accept graphics is like putting the standards in place of like what, you know, where the line is drawn. And so it was easier for us to just say photos. But I think if you know, have something in mind and want to like ask if that's okay before you spend time doing it, you could definitely reach out to me. I'm on Slack, and then I'll also include my email in the follow-up. And Gwen, yes, we always need more volunteers. We have on our website under the Get Involved, you'll see the top thing is to host an event. Under that, I think is sponsorships, because we're also always looking for companies that want to help sponsor, and then volunteers. And so there's a bunch of different types of volunteers. There's volunteers that are helping leading up to the event. So doing things like helping us add all of the content to the website, or you know, we have volunteers right now working on social media and our, you know, blog posts and our programming leads and our sponsor leads. Like those are all volunteers. We also always need volunteers for the week of. I think last year we had about 100 volunteers the week of, because we staff every event with a couple of volunteers and then have volunteers at our hub. And so if you're interested, there's a sign up form on the website. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time. I know we're getting out a little early here. What I'm going to do as next steps is I'll send a follow-up email. We did record this. I know a couple of people weren't able to attend. So if they'll want to be able to, you know, listen and hear what they missed, I'll also send the link to the Slack community group. If you're not already in it, you can join there, and a link again to the proposals. And I'll include my email at the bottom of it. So if you do have follow-up questions, you can follow up with me on Slack or an email directly. Thank you all so much for being a part of this, and we look forward to reading your proposals. When in doubt, just submit it, because you know, we want to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Anya.